Let's talk about a book that pretty much created modern fantasy as we know it. J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. It came out way back in 1937, but it's a story that people have loved for generations. So today, we're going to dive in and figure out what makes this tale of an unlikely hero so completely timeless. You know, the whole book, this entire epic journey, really just boils down to one big question. What actually makes an ordinary person a hero? That question, well, it's the absolute heart of The Hobbit. Which, of course, brings us to our first section, the unexpected hero. We're about to meet our main guy, Bilbo Baggins, literally moments before his whole world gets flipped upside down. All right, so meet Bilbo. He's a hobbit, and hobbits are all about the good life. We're talking good food, a cozy home, and a life with absolutely zero surprises. He lives in the Shire, and his daily routine is everything to him. He is not a warrior. He is not a king. He's just a regular guy. And honestly, that's what makes him such a great hero. And then, bam, everything changes. Bilbo's quiet, predictable world just collides head-on with pure chaos. First, the wizard Gandalf shows up. Then, 13 dwarfs barge into his home. They're on this wild mission to get their treasure back from a dragon. And just like that, Bilbo's peaceful life is shattered by an adventure he never, ever wanted. And this is what kicks off his perilous quest. It yanks him so far out of his comfort zone, and it's where his real transformation begins. So Bilbo gets roped in as the team's official burglar, and the danger ramps up immediately. I mean, they run into trolls, goblins, even giant spiders. But the real turning point, the pivotal moment, happens in a dark cave. And that encounter sets up the huge climax with the dragon Smaug, and eventually the massive battle of 5 armies. For a hobbit who just wants a quiet life, this is basically a non-stop nightmare. Okay, we have to talk about that cave. It is absolutely crucial. Bilbo was lost, he's all alone, and he meets this strange, twisted creature named Gollum. Their tense game of riddles in the dark isn't just some clever scene. It saves Bilbo's life, yeah, but it also kicks off a chain of events that will literally shape the future of all of Middle-earth. And what does Bilbo find down there? The One Ring. Now, at this point, its job seems simple. It makes you invisible, which, is pretty handy when you're supposed to be a burglar. But you can feel Tolkien planting a seed here. This isn't just some magic trinket. This ring is a symbol of power and temptation that becomes the absolute center of his next work, The Lord of the Rings. So, after all these trials, outsmarting Gollum, facing down goblins, even confronting a dragon, Bilbo changes. He really fundamentally changes. And it's not like he becomes a super soldier overnight. His growth is slow. It's believable. He starts to trust his own mind and finds this quiet courage he never knew he had. He goes from a timid hobbit to a true hero. And this amazing character arc is really where we find the deeper lessons of Middle-earth. So let's move past the plot for a second and talk about the big themes that make the story so powerful. I mean, the book is just packed with these huge ideas. You've got Bilbo's journey from comfort to courage. You've got this really powerful warning about greed. It also champions this idea that wisdom is way more important than raw strength. And of course, it's a beautiful story about friendship and loyalty. The greed theme is on full display with Thorin, the leader of the dwarves. As soon as he gets his treasure back, he becomes completely obsessed. The book calls it dragon sickness, which is such a perfect phrase. It's this poisonous desire that clouds his judgment and leads straight to conflict and tragedy. It's a really powerful cautionary tale right in the middle of all the action. And then there's that idea of wisdom over strength. The dwarves, their first instinct is always to pull out their swords and fight. But it's usually Bilbo's cleverness, using riddles, talking his way out of things, that actually saves the day. Tolkien is making it crystal clear that real heroism isn't just about being strong, it's about being smart, showing mercy, and knowing when not to fight. So let's wrap up by talking about why The Hobbit isn't just a great story, it's a true genre-defining legend. A huge part of its charm comes from Tolkien's writing style. It's not like the super serious, epic tone of The Lord of the Rings. Here, the narrator feels like a friend telling you a story, often speaking directly to you, the reader. It makes this huge, rich world feel incredibly warm and welcoming. So when you put it all together, the strengths are just so obvious. The story is easy to get into, Bilbo is a hero you can actually see yourself in, the themes have real depth, and the world is just incredible. It's that rare kind of book that works for kids and adults alike. There's really something in it for everyone. Looking at all of that, it's no wonder this book is so loved. We're giving it a solid 9 out of 10. It isn't just a classic, it's a near-perfect masterpiece of fantasy. Because at the end of the day, The Hobbit is so much more than a children's adventure. It's a profound story about growth, about humility, and about that quiet strength you can find in the most ordinary individuals. And that brings us right back to the beginning. Bilbo's life-changing adventure began the moment he stepped out of his comfortable hobbit hole. So the question the book leaves us with is this: what journey, big or small, is waiting just outside your own front door? Thanks for joining me on this explainer.